Hey, it's Rabbit. Today I'm going to do the What Not to Say to a BJD Collector tag. It was started by Alex Elle, and I was tagged by Spore. So this one's just kind of talking about different things that people say to you and how you kind of react internally. So I don't when I'm at work and stuff like that, I don't really bring up my dolls right away unless I've known people for a while. I have certain people at work that are really into asking me questions about the dolls, and they think it's really cool. And sometimes I post stuff on my Facebook and stuff, but most of the time I just kind of keep it to myself because I don't really care if people know about it or if they are into it or whatever, unless I know that they already are. So one of the first things on here is when people say that's pretty weird. First of all, if somebody says that to me, I kind of just shut down and I'm like, well, if you think it's weird, then I'm not going to bother wasting my time explaining to you why I collect them and whatever. I'd just be like, yeah, I collect dolls, whatever, just kind of let it lie. I don't. I kind of have an attitude problem where I don't really like to explain myself and the things that I like if it's not going to be worth the effort. Some people just aren't going to get it, and that's fine. I don't have to talk to them about it. So, the second one is, what do you do with your dolls? I actually, uh, it is a pretty involved hobby for me. I paint the faces, I sew them clothes, I take pictures, I use them for drawing models. I mean, there's all kinds of things that I could come up with for this answer. So, when they ask me that question, I'm like, okay, well, this one I can answer really easy. It's not a big deal. It does kind of concern me when people think that you're some kind of a pervert and you got all these sexy man dolls and it's like, ooh, and they're anatomically correct, which I don't tell people right off the bat, obviously. Only a couple people that I know actually do know about that, but that kind of, I have to kind of judge their facial features and how they ask the question, because there are some people that are like, well, what do you do with them? And it's like, okay, freak, go away. But it's nothing like that. But yeah, that's kind of weird when they ask that question. But most of the time they don't really mean it that way, so it doesn't really bother me all that much. How much do they cost? Uh, some people I'll say well, do you really want to know, because they're expensive. And most of mine I can't really say well, some of them cost more and some of them cost less, because most of my dolls are about the same price. I have, as you can see, I have mostly SD size dolls. So most of them were either anywhere from $350 to $600. Some of them I got used, so they were cheaper. London, over here, I actually won in an event through Soldall, so he only cost me $71. So technically, that was the shipping for it. Other than that, he was free. But technically, yeah, I think $350 was one of my cheapest dolls. I bought one doll that got lost in the mail, and I paid $700 for him, but then I got refunded, so about $600 is probably the most. But now I'm just answering the question. Sorry. When people ask me this question, it depends on who it is. Most of the time, I don't really want to tell them right away. It's like, is that really any of your business? If it's somebody that I know and somebody that I like, I'll kind of let them know a price range. But other than that, it's like, I'm just gonna tell you they're expensive and just leave it at that. Because it's really none of their business. Don't you feel bad spending that kind of money on them? This one just makes me kind of laugh, because if I felt bad about it, I wouldn't be doing it. So I would just look at them like, okay. Obviously I don't, since I have 13 right now. So it's like, no. Wouldn't you rather spend it on something useful? Once again, No. I have a bunch of useful things that I use. And if I wanted to spend it on something useful, I would. So when people ask me that, it's like, get out of here. Whatever made you decide to get them? Um, to me, that's kind of just a general question. I mean, that it's people are interested in whatever hobbies. Like, well, what made you start doing this? Well, like you're obsessed with skiing. Well, what made you want to ski? Whatever. So I mean, that doesn't really make me uncomfortable when people ask that. I just tell them, yeah, I saw one once and I thought it was pretty and I wanted one. It's not that complicated. Um, what they're anatomically correct, why though? Um, I don't usually tell people that they're anatomically correct unless I'm just like, hey, this doll's got a little something. Um, I don't really tell people that unless it's like somebody that I know really well. Otherwise, it's like, why would you tell them that? It's just kind of, it raises that question again, like, well, what do you do with them? So I mean, I don't get that question a whole lot. And if I did, I'd be like, well, why not? They're correct everywhere else. Why wouldn't they be correct down there? It's just anatomy, people. They're cool, I guess, but I could never justify that amount of money. I would just say, cool, you're not into these dolls, you don't want to spend that kind of money, whatever. I don't really like when people say that. It's like, well, that's your life and your money, and if you don't want to spend it, I totally get that. So there would be no negative reaction to that question. If I had your kind of money, I would have bought a house by now. That I would just laugh out loud because I live in a trailer. I make like slightly above minimum wage. I don't make a lot of money. I don't even own a car. I walk to work and I order things online. So if they said that, clearly they don't know me very well. And I would probably just laugh them out of the room. I save for my dolls and I pay all my bills and clearly I eat enough. So we're good on that one. Your significant other lets you do this. I don't have a significant other. I'm single, and if I did have a significant other, he wouldn't care if I collected dolls. In fact, he'd probably like them just as much as I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be dating him. So, yeah, I plan to be single for a very long time. So, the other one, my significant other would never let me do this. That makes me sad, and makes me think that you clearly have some problems in your relationship that you need to work through, because if your significant other is that bossy, then maybe you shouldn't be with them. But that's just me. Are there any other people who collect this sort of thing? I would love to be asked that question because, yeah, I have a lot of people online, friends online, and I've been to doll shows before, and yeah, it's just an awesome hobby, and lots of people out there. So actually, most of my coworkers don't even realize how many people, like other people, are into this, and when I tell them, they're really generally interested. So I actually really like getting that question. It's usually a pretty positive one. Um, you should sell them. You can make a lot of money. I do get this from my coworkers because I don't think that they realize that I I don't make these dolls. And I think part of what they are saying is like the clothing and stuff like that. I do sew for my dolls, and yes, I could be making money with my sewing if my dolls weren't so selfish and didn't steal everything that I make. You guys know what I'm talking about. Um, yeah. But like the face-ups and things like that, I think my coworkers kind of comment on that stuff, and that, like, it kind of makes me like, okay, you guys, I don't think you really know all that would entail. It's not really a very lucrative market, I guess. And for me to, like, I guess I could, like, set up a shop for face-ups, and I have considered that before, but I think the supplies and the time I'd have to put into it would be more of an effort than actually like the money I would make from it. So, I just kind of like, no, I don't really want to, That one's not really a very negative question either. I don't mind answering that. Uh, that's a boy, but it doesn't look like one. I don't get it. That question, I get that a lot because my boy dolls, a lot of them have long hair, and the way they're faced up, they have, makeup around their eyes and stuff like that, and they're very pretty. I don't really, that question actually doesn't really offend me, because a lot of my boys, if I wasn't into, like, anime and things like that, I would probably assume it was a girl too. So if they assume it's a girl, that doesn't bother me. I'll correct them once. If they keep doing it, it's like, whatever. If you want to think it's a girl, it's not a big deal. I'm not very sensitive about what people think about my dolls. I love my dolls, and if they don't, that's okay. They don't have to. So that one doesn't really bother me. That one I actually feel that I've been asked probably the most by like people at work, like, oh, that's a boy, I didn't know. But they're not like, ew, that's a boy. They're like, oh, okay, I didn't know, it looks like a girl. That's okay. Don't they creep you out? Actually, yeah. I've had this question before, and no. Some dolls do creep me out. Like French bisque dolls with the thick eyebrows and the centered eyes where it looks like they're like a deer in the headlights. Porcelain dolls and things like that do creep me out. So I can see why this would be an issue. Actually, the dolls that creep me out the most are probably ventriloquist dummies. Those things freak the shit out of me. But anyway, this question I just kind of have to laugh at, because it's like, if they creep me out, why would I have them? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's just, a lot of these questions I'm just laughing at. But I guess I have a good sense of humor about it, and things don't really offend me that easily. So, yeah. I'd be scared to have them in the room. I don't know how you do it. I'd be like, well, don't come over and sleep in my room then, because these guys are here and they're all staring at you. So, if you are creeped out by dolls, don't come over to my house. And if you were creeped out by dolls, you probably wouldn't be at my house anyway, because we wouldn't have anything in common. No, that's not entirely true, but yeah. I do know some people that are creeped out by dolls, and that I can understand that I don't. It doesn't bother me when people say that. It's like, okay, I don't think they're creepy, but if you think they're creepy, that's your thing. I'm trying to think of anything else that I've been asked. I can't really think of. Most of the time, I'm really open to people's questions and stuff like that. I don't really, like I said, I don't really bring the dolls up, unless it comes up. Like, hey, what are you into? I'm like, well, I collect these dolls, and then I have my iPod, and I'll say, hey, here's a picture, and they either like, okay, weird, or they're like, that's awesome, and then I can tell them more. So, generally, I take my dolls outside every once in a while, which at first I was really kind of shy about, but the older I get and the more I just don't care anymore. It's like, if somebody sees me with my doll and they're like looking at me like, what the, most people I find will actually, either like guys mostly, will actually just ignore the fact that you're holding a doll at all. They will not even broach the subject, and that cracks me up, because they're just like kind of side glancing like, oh my god, is that a doll? What is that? And that actually cracks me up the most, because they're like, I don't even want to bring it up because I don't even want to know. And then I'm like, well, if you don't bring it up, then I don't have to answer any questions, and I'm probably never going to see you again anyway, so it doesn't matter. But sometimes, people will say, well, what is that? That's a doll? Like, why are you carrying it around? And I'm like, should I freak him out or should I just explain why? I guess every once in a while I'm like, yeah, it's my doll. I take it everywhere, But I've never actually done that, but I've considered it before, like, how much would they freak out? But no, I've never done that before, and usually I just explain in a calm, rational way that I'm, taking photographs. I just so this new outfit for it, and I want to take some pictures for my friends online and whatever, So anyway, I guess that's about it for this tag, and I've gone on for like almost 16 minutes, so I'll let you guys get back to your lives, and thank you for watching. And I don't know a lot of people on YouTube yet, so if you've watched this like all the way through, consider yourself tagged. See you later.